Hey guys, welcome to the channel where we talk about all things regenerative agriculture and how we can cultivate Christmas trees, chestnut trees, poultry, and beef all together right here in the state of Ohio. And today we're gonna do a walkthrough of this eggmobile. This is an eggmobile that we use for our laying hens specifically. It's not intended for broilers or meat birds of any kind. We actually use a Salatine style chicken tractor for our broilers, and that's a topic for another day. But today we're going to talk only about our hens and how we integrate them into our Christmas tree farm regeneratively. So let's get into it.
Get her. Get her.
Okay, so this started out as a Salatine styled eggmobile. It was at least inspired by the Polyface design book, but for a number of reasons we had to customize this to our own needs. We are on a Christmas tree plantation and we're trying to grow these Christmas trees regeneratively. And as far as I know, there really isn't a playbook on how to do Christmas trees in a regenerative fashion. And so we're kind of winging it and learning things and experimenting. And this is definitely one of our experiments when it comes to integrating chickens and poultry into the tree farm. And because of that, we had to work with what we had, and it started with the base. So we built this on top of a utility trailer, and it's a very small trailer that we just had lying around, and it was kind of seeing the end of its days because it was old and falling apart. So we decided to give it a second life as an eggmobile. And it's worked out pretty well. We're able to house all of our chickens. I think we have about 40 or 50 in there, and we can probably go up to about 70 or maybe 75 hens. And again, I want to iterate that these are all laying hens, so there are no broilers or meat birds in here. There are nesting boxes on both sides, so you can see one, the hatch is open on this side, and if you go around to this side, the hatch is closed. And the trailer hitches over here, so this is designed to be moved every day or just about every day. And the exterior siding, Kevin got, so he's the one that built this, and he got this from a scrapyard nearby. He picked it out of the bone yard, and so we got it for pretty cheap. It's a hodgepodge of colors, but I don't think the chickens mind that. As far as our watering system goes, Kevin came up with a pretty clever design here where since the roof is slanted at an angle, our rain is collected in this gutter thing, and he drilled a little hole here. This is a work in progress, so it's not perfect, but the idea is that the water will travel into the opening here and somewhat fill this up. And when it does rain, it works really well. And then we have a manual fill tube right here. You just unscrew this cap, and you can pour the water right in there, and that works pretty well. The chickens get their water through these little nipple things that we bought online. They're pretty standard when it comes to chicken coops. And there's another watering station on the inside, the exact same concept, and it's just a little shorter, and we can fill it when we take the cap off right there. These are the nesting boxes, and I'm going to talk about these a little bit more because initially the problem we were having is that they would sleep in here inside of the nesting boxes overnight, and they would end up just pooping on the eggs and in the hay, and we were just going through so much hay. And it was also making the eggs a lot more dirty than they needed to be. So Kevin came up with another solution, which is still a work in progress, where these essentially fold down, and at night this red siding here just blocks them from being able to get in, and that works pretty well. We have all these slats for the flooring, and so they kind of just use that as their roosting bars. So the floor doubles as the roosting bars, and it's nice and open for the poop to just fall through and land on the ground. It also helps with airflow. There is some good airflow here at the top too, so that's not a problem at all. And then as far as feeding goes, we were using pans to just put their food in a pan, but we've tried installing these little PVC pipes that Kevin cut a hole in, and we just kind of use these as feeding trays, and we have that on both sides, and those are also working pretty well. This right here is for their oyster shells, so you just pour it in right there, and we actually need to put some more oyster shells in there, but that's how they can get their calcium. I have noticed that in general, they tend to only lay on one side. So all the eggs tend to accumulate on the other side, and then there's usually no eggs in there, but of course they're calling me a liar right now because there's a couple. So again, I mentioned that we are fairly new to chickens and integrating them onto our Christmas tree farm, and so we had a couple of mishaps. And I think one is you'll notice that there are some really hideous looking chickens in this flock. And these hideous ones were our very first chickens that we had. We started last year, and they got pecked pretty hard by a rooster that we had in the flock initially. We've since fixed that problem, and all these newer chickens, you can tell a night and day difference between the old ones and the new ones. But that's one of the kind of the lessons we learned initially, is not to put your meat birds and your hens and mix them together in the same flock, because you will end up with some pretty gnarly looking chickens. But they're living a good life right now. They're happy. They're kind of regrowing their feathers a little bit as best as they can. And other than that, we really haven't had any problems. We have had zero predation issues, both ground predation and aerial predation. So there is a number of hawks. There's actually a hawk that lives in that tree over there, and they don't seem to bother the chickens, knock on wood. We do have a lot of coyotes. We hear them almost every night, and we haven't had an issue with them either. We use portable netting. We use Premier One netting that's electrified, and we created a perimeter around the entire chicken coop. Usually we just flip it to the other side, and then it'll stay there for a few days. And then after that, once we've done both sides, then that's when we hitch up the side-by-side to the hitch of the eggmobile, and then we pull it forward to another section, and we repeat that, where we first put the netting on the right side, and then we'll move it over to the left side, and then we'll move it again. And that's kind of the system we've been going with. But yes, this is light enough to be moved with a side-by-side. So if you start getting into chickens and start looking at how to keep chickens, and if you're anything like me, you'll start to see all kinds of ads on Instagram for products that you need for chickens and stuff like that. And my whole Instagram feed is just filled with random products. And one thing that I've seen before, but I've never tried, is a Coop refresher, which I've always kind of wanted to see how that works. And Grubterra reached out to me and sent me a bag. Now, they are not a sponsor and we are not affiliated with them, but they did ask me to try their Coop refresher, and I was interested to see how it works. So I'm just gonna give a quick review of this and show you guys, share with my honest thoughts about this. And is it really necessary? Is there a place for it in our chicken coop? And does it really work? Stuff like that. So let's give it a try. This is the first time ever using a Coop refresher. And the idea is that you can use this as a deodorizer for the nesting boxes. So you can put it in their hay, and it helps to reduce the odor that can accumulate over time. And these chickens, they poop a lot, and so there's definitely a strong odor. Now, I will say right off the bat that this seems to be more of a product for our winterization of our chickens and not for being outside in the fresh air. That's something to certainly consider, because when we winterize our chickens, that's a topic for another day, but we do keep them inside of our barn, and that's when odors can become much more of a problem. This is rosemary thyme, made in the USA, by the way. This is a 4-pack, and it's a 15-week supply. So this little pack will last 15 weeks. That's pretty impressive. It does smell pretty good. Okay, so the instructions say to just evenly distribute this throughout the coop. Oops. And this is 100% natural and safe. It's literally just vermiculite and essential oils. It is very strong, but it is supposed to last 15 weeks, and it's a slow release mechanism with hydrophobic coating. So I'm just sprinkling it through each of the nesting boxes. Okay, so I was using one packet and I was able to do all the nesting boxes. So we still have 3 other packets left, so I can do a check-in here in a couple of days and see how it's working. Again, we're in an open air environment and I can already smell it. How effective is it gonna be? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Well, it's 5 days later and I can still smell it. There's a good essence of it, but it's not nearly as potent as it was before. And that's saying a lot considering that we are out in the open air. And this is really probably intended for more of an enclosed chicken coop, but I still smell it and they've been pooping in here and doing their chicken stuff. So that's pretty good. I will say the hardest part about having this chicken coop is probably getting them all to cooperate and go inside at night. And so we kind of have to use this stick to lure them in. And it also helps to do this right after you give them new feed. So we just put feed in their troughs. And so now they're all focused and kind of trained, most of them anyway, are trained to kind of go in and get some food around this time. But we just introduced a few new ones and they're the ones that are causing trouble because they don't know the routine yet. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. And if you've made it this far, do me a favor and like and subscribe to this channel. That really helps us out a lot. And we are losing daylight. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more insight into how chicken coops work. And if you have any questions about it or how we integrate it into our Christmas tree fields, definitely drop a comment down below and I'll answer those. And I will see you guys in the next video.